Before you listen, you now have 30 seconds to read questions 1 to 10.
Good morning, City Community Center, Thomas speaking. How can I help you today?
Oh, hello. My name is Sarah Gillies, and I'm calling to inquire about booking a room at the center for an upcoming event.
Certainly, Sarah. I can help with that. Could you give me your last name again, please, so I can start the booking form?
Yes, it's Gillies. That's Gillies.
Thank you, Sarah. And what kind of event is it?
It's a birthday party for my youngest son. He's turning 6.
How lovely. A birthday party. And what date are you looking at?
We would like to book it for the 14th of October, if that's available.
Let me check our calendar. Yes, we have space on Saturday the 14th of October. How many guests do you expect will attend?
We have invited his whole class, so we're expecting 35 children in total, plus a few parents.
Great. For that number, the main hall would be too big, but we have the Maple Room, which is perfect for up to 40 people. It's spelled MAPLE.
That sounds ideal. We'll take the Maple Room, please.
Perfect. Now, will you require any additional equipment from us, like a sound system or a screen?
Actually, yes. My husband has prepared a short slideshow of photos, so we'll need a projector, please. We'll bring our own laptop to plug into it.
No problem, I've noted down a projector. And what about catering? We can provide a full buffet, light snacks, or just drinks.
We've already ordered the food from an outside bakery, so we will only require drinks to be provided by the center. Juice and water would be perfect.
Very well, drinks only. Now, let's talk about payment. How would you like to pay the booking fee?
I can pay by bank transfer or credit card. Which is faster?
Credit card is processed instantly, which secures your booking immediately.
Okay, I will use my credit card then.
Excellent. Let me calculate the price for the Maple Room, the projector hire, and drinks for 35. That comes to a total of £120.
That's very reasonable. £120 is fine.
To secure the booking, you'll need to pay a deposit of £20. The balance can be paid on the day. When can you pay the deposit?
I can do that online today.
That's great, though our policy states the deposit must be paid by Friday at the latest to keep the room reserved.
No problem at all. I'll transfer the deposit this afternoon.
Thank you, Sarah. I will send over the confirmation email now.
That is the end of part 1. You now have 30 seconds to check your answers. Before you listen, you now have 30 seconds to read questions 11 to 20.
Hello everyone, my name is Helen, and I'm delighted to welcome you all to this informational session about the grand reopening of Oak Ridge Park this coming Saturday. As many of you know, the park has been closed for the past 8 months to undergo a complete transformation. Today, I want to share some exciting details about the new features and our plans for the opening day. First of all, let me address why we undertook this project. While we certainly wanted to attract more local wildlife, and safety is always a top priority for our community, the main driving force behind this major renovation was to upgrade our outdated sports facilities to meet the growing needs of local clubs. The old fields and courts were simply no longer fit for purpose. One of the brand new features we are proudest of is the community garden. Many people think the city council is running it, or that students from the nearby high school are in charge as part of their curriculum, but it is actually fully managed by a dedicated group of volunteers from the neighborhood who have worked tirelessly to plant organic vegetables. Next to the garden, you'll find the redesigned children's playground. You might notice the beautiful wooden structures, which were crafted by a local carpenter. However, the standout feature is that all play structures have been designed to be fully accessible, making them suitable for children of all physical abilities, which we feel is incredibly important. We have also completely refurbished our tennis courts. In the past, you could just turn up and play, but to prevent overcrowding, we have introduced a new system. You now need to reserve a court online in advance. It remains completely free of charge, so there is no fee to pay, and you don't need to be a club member to use them. For the opening day this Saturday, we expect a massive crowd, and parking space around the park is extremely limited. Therefore, I highly recommend arriving by public transport, such as the local bus, rather than driving your car. Food stalls will be available so you don't need to pack a picnic, and the weather forecast is lovely so there's no need for waterproof clothing. Now, let me tell you about the schedule of events we have planned to celebrate the reopening. The day kicks off at 10 a.m. with an official opening speech by the mayor, who will cut the ribbon at the main gates. Shortly after, at 11 a.m., our resident nature expert will lead a guided walk through the woodland area. The focus of this walk will be looking for and identifying various species of birds nesting in the canopy, so bring your binoculars if you have them. In the afternoon, at 1 p.m., we have a very special event in the community garden. There will be a free cooking workshop where a local chef will show you how to prepare healthy dishes using fresh herbs grown right here in our plots. Later on, at 3 p.m., the atmosphere will liven up with some live music performance on the main stage, featuring several talented local bands. They'll be playing a mix of popular covers and original songs. As a final reminder for anyone planning to attend with their pets, to protect the wildlife in our conservation zones, all dogs must be kept on a lead at all times. Thank you, and we hope to see you all there on Saturday.
That is the end of part 2. You now have 30 seconds to check your answers. Before you listen, you now have 30 seconds to read questions 21 to 30.
Come in, Mark. Robert. Take a seat. How is your research project on renewable energy coming along?
Thanks, David. We've made quite a bit of progress, actually. We spent the last 2 weeks reviewing the literature and gathering some background data.
Yes, and we found some really interesting trends. At first, we looked at solar energy, but what really shocked us was how quickly wind power is expanding nationwide. I expected solar or hydro to be leading, but wind energy has grown at an incredible, unexpected rate over the last 5 years.
It certainly has. It's a very dynamic sector. So, are you planning to focus your research on wind energy?
Well, we actually decided to look into something else. We've chosen to focus on wave energy.
We chose wave energy because our university is situated right next to the coast, and this local coastal region has huge potential to harness wave power. It felt highly relevant to our immediate environment.
That's a very sound choice, Robert. It's always good to have a local connection in your research. However, you must address the ecological concerns associated with marine technologies. Many marine biologists have pointed out that underwater turbines can disrupt local fish migration patterns and damage delicate marine habitats. Have you considered that?
Yes, we have. We've actually dedicated an entire section of our project to environmental mitigation strategies.
Excellent. And how do you plan to gather your primary data? Are you going to conduct online surveys with local residents?
We thought about surveys, and we also thought about taking physical measurements at the beach ourselves, but we decided against those. Instead, we've scheduled a visit to the new tidal testing facility next week. We're going to interview the lead engineers working on site to get first-hand data on energy output.
That will give you some highly valuable, authentic insights. Now, before you start writing your first draft, what is your next step?
We were thinking of searching for more recent scientific journal articles to make sure we haven't missed anything.
You have plenty of sources already. Before you begin writing, I'd strongly recommend creating a detailed outline of each chapter. Having a clear structure beforehand will save you a lot of time and prevent you from getting off track.
That makes sense. We'll draft a chapter outline this afternoon.
Good. Now let's look at the draft plan you sent me for the various sections of your report. I had a look through it, and I have some feedback.
Great. Let's start with the introduction.
Yes, for the introduction, the background information is good, but the data you've cited is a bit old. It requires updated statistics to reflect the current market. The figures you used are from 2018, and things have changed rapidly since then.
Okay, we'll find the latest figures for the intro. What about the literature review?
Well, the literature review is very thorough, but it is currently 5 pages long, which is far too long for a report of this scale. It will be shortened significantly. I suggest cutting it down by about half to keep it concise.
Understood, we'll edit that down. How does the methodology section look?
The methodology is mathematically sound, but the way you've described the wave tank testing process is a bit confusing for a general reader. It needs a clearer explanation so that someone without an engineering background can easily follow your steps.
Right, we'll rewrite that part to make it more straightforward. And the case study?
The case study is very well written and has great depth, but it is very dense and packed with text. It definitely needs more visual aids, like charts or diagrams, to break up the text and help explain the data.
We can definitely add some graphs there. Lastly, what about our conclusion?
The conclusion is a bit weak on its own, and it repeats a lot of what you've already said. I think it will be merged with another section, specifically, your future recommendation section. Combining them will make for a much stronger ending.
That's a great suggestion. Thanks, David. This feedback is incredibly helpful.
Yes, thank you. We have a clear plan of action now.
That is the end of part 3. You now have 30 seconds to check your answers. Before you listen, you now have 30 seconds to read questions 31 to 40.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today, we are going to explore the fascinating history of one of the most common substances in our kitchens, salt. While we now view salt as a cheap and everyday commodity, for thousands of years, it was one of the most valuable resources on Earth, shaping trade, empires, and even languages. In ancient times, before the invention of refrigeration, salt was highly valued because of its ability to act as a preservative for food, especially meat and fish. Without it, long-distance travel and surviving harsh winters would have been virtually impossible, as food would rot quickly. Thus, securing a reliable supply of salt was a matter of life and death for early civilizations. Because of its immense value, salt was often used as a medium of exchange, much like currency. In ancient Rome, soldiers were sometimes paid in salt instead of coins, a practice which eventually led to the modern English word salary, which comes from the Latin word salarium, meaning salt money. Let's look at how salt was historically produced. The methods varied greatly depending on geography. In coastal regions with warm climates, salt was obtained by evaporating seawater in shallow ponds. The sun and wind would dry out the water, leaving behind pure salt crystals to be harvested. This was a relatively simple and natural process. In contrast, inland populations had to rely on mining rock salt from deep beneath the earth. This underground mining was extremely difficult and required significant labor, making it one of the most dangerous occupations in the ancient world. Often, prisoners or enslaved people were forced to work in these hazardous mines. However, in ancient China, a highly sophisticated method was developed. Around 2,000 years ago, Chinese engineers figured out how to drill deep into the ground to reach subterranean brine. To pull this salty liquid to the surface, they utilized long pipes made of bamboo, which were fitted with primitive valves. This was a major technological breakthrough that preceded Western drilling techniques by centuries. The economic and social impact of salt cannot be overstated. The high value of salt and the uneven distribution of its sources led to the creation of famous trade routes across Europe and Asia. One of the most famous was the Salt Road in Italy, which connected the salt pans of Ostia to Rome and beyond. Merchants traveling these routes were heavily guarded, as salt convoys were frequent targets for bandits. Furthermore, because everyone needed salt to survive, governments quickly realized they could generate massive revenue by imposing a tax on salt. This was a highly effective way to collect money from every single citizen. In France, this salt tax was known as the gabelle. It was extremely high and deeply unpopular among the poor. In fact, this tax was so hated that it became one of the key drivers of the French Revolution in 1789. In the modern era, our relationship with salt has shifted dramatically. Industrial manufacturing and modern mining techniques have made salt incredibly cheap and abundant. Interestingly, despite its historical role in food, less than 10% of all salt manufactured today is actually destined for human consumption. So, where does the rest of it go? Well, some of it is used for de-icing roads in winter, but the vast majority of global salt production is utilized in the chemical industry. It is a vital raw material used to manufacture a wide range of products, including plastics, paper, and glass. From a precious ancient currency to an industrial workhorse, salt remains one of the most influential minerals in human history. Thank you.
That is the end of the listening test. You now have 30 seconds to check your answers.